How's it going, everybody? This is Dominic Minchella. I am the Kansas City Chiefs co-beat writer for On SI and the host of the Kansas City Chiefs Insider Podcast. Thank you guys so much for stopping in today as we will be continuing on. This will be the final episode of this preview bye-week thing that we have been doing on the podcast, reviewing how Kansas City Chiefs, certain players have performed this season. We've talked a lot about veterans. We've talked about one rookie, and if you're curious about all who we've talked about before, be sure you go check them out. But today, we're going to be talking about a man who got paid this offseason, going into this season, to really help and hold down the Kansas City Chiefs defense. That's defensive end George Karlaftis. Now, George Karlaftis has been a very consistent player for Kansas City. I know that there are some fans that think otherwise. I think that there are some that have differing opinions on Karlaftis, but all in all, the front office really believes in this guy, or else they wouldn't have brought him back for the years that they did, agreeing to a contract extension. Not only that, but a former first-round pick, he has really kind of lived up to every expectation that is been of what his position is. While he might not be the biggest guy compared to other defensive ends in the National Football League, he is still very, very good, especially in the first half of the season. I would say so far that Karlaftis is a guy who has really found himself in the overlooked category when discussing the Kansas City Chiefs defense. Obviously, the Chiefs defense this season has been up and down, but they have been consistent at times. And when they are consistent, it really does shine through the veteran players, such as George Karlaftis. So much so that through 9 games of the campaign, he has collected 32 total tackles. His career high is 47, and last year he had 35. He has a good game against the Denver Broncos in Week 11. Then George Karlaftis is having a really good season for the record books, at least for his resume when looking at his statistics, that it's going to kind of fare well into how things look for the Kansas City Chiefs and how they gave him the contract extension. But one area that does stand out in those tackles is that he has 17 solo tackles. 15 of them are assists. So even when George can't get the solo tackles himself, he is still going to help his teammates bring down a offensive player with the assist category. Last season, he had 14. He already has 15 this season, and his career high is 18. I understand that when you look at Karlaftis play, sometimes it just seems like he's not there. And I don't mean that in a way where he's not productive. It just sometimes he's like the quiet killer on the Kansas City Chiefs defense. And I think that these statistics really prove it. His first half of the season has set him up very well to be successful in the second half. A specific area that a lot of fans look towards for when they're evaluating defensive ends or edge rushers is how many sacks they get. Defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, he knows how to be effective on the defensive side of the football, and he uses George Karlaftis very well. So far this season, he's got 5 quarterback sacks. His career high is 10.5. His rookie season, he had 6. Last season, he had 8. So he's really on the up and up, and he's staying consistent for what the product that he has shown since arriving in Kansas City. Additionally, he's got 2 passes defended and 3.5 stuffs. While the stuffs do not regard for a whole lot of stuffed yards, being that he's got 3 stuffed yards on the 3.5 stuffs, he is also a guy where he can be a fumble recovery type player, which he has done this season. He's done so in the past. He is actually this year was his first fumble recovery since his rookie campaign. All in all, I would say that George Karlaftis has been a player that while he might get overlooked, if he wasn't on the defense, I think that it would shine through predominantly. When looking at Pro Football Focus, they really agree with me. He is not necessarily going to be a flashy player, but the way he has been playing thus far this season shows. He has a overall grade of a 78.9, ranking above the average edge rusher. He also ranks 22nd out of 110 defensive ends that are listed in Pro Football Focus's category. Additionally, his best is his pass rush. As we all know, as we should have known, he has a 78.3. The area that does bring him down, yet it is still above average, is the run defense, where he has a 70.2. He has also 44 pressures this season, which ranks him fifth in out of the 110 edge rushers. That's really, really good. That's really good. A top 5 defender in that category. That's going to help George Karlaftis succeed down the second half of the season for Kansas City. A second half of the season that really needs to be a make or break if this franchise wants to see themselves play in the playoffs. And I say that not saying that they're already counted out of the AFC West division. That's just not true. There's so many more games to have been played. But guys like George Karlaftis, other players that we've discussed in this podcast series, reviewing players through the first 9 weeks of the season, those are the players that need to step up. Those are your marquee players. Those are your players that you want to root for, that you wear their jerseys, that they are superstars. You don't want them to leave Kansas City. And it shows because these guys have been successful in the past. They know exactly what they need to do. George Karlaftis knows exactly what he has to do moving forward. And maybe the contract extension that was given him had some really good peace of mind for the young star. If he is now locked, since he is now locked up, not if, excuse me, since he's now locked up for the next foreseeable future, it is important for him to have and show Chiefs Kingdom, who has rooted for him and have unrooted for him throughout his career, that he deserves to be here. And I think that it will show and only increase his productivity in the second half of the season. He's like captain out there. He knows exactly who he is, and I think that George Karlaftis is a very big threat to help this Kansas City Chiefs defense solidify itself back into the fear defense that it is. Down the stretch, I think Kansas City is going to be very dangerous, and I'll explain to you why tomorrow. Going back to George Karlaftis, he has been playing in 413 total snaps in 2025 as well, ranking 13th out of 187 who have donned a uniform in the NFL this season. So all in all, I think George Karlaftis has done a very solid job, and I think that the Chiefs Kingdom should be appreciative of the work he has done in. I think that moving forward, there is a lot of play and product still to be shown, and I'm excited to see how George Karlaftis can do so. Overall grade thus far this season, a B+. As always, folks, be sure you follow me over on X at Dom Minchella. I post and repost every single day. You're not going to want to miss any coverage of the Kansas City Chiefs while we get closer to a big matchup in Week 11 against the Denver Broncos. That's Dom Minchella, DOMMINCHELLA over on X. You could also follow us over at KC Chiefs on SI. Everything gets posted there, whether it be coverage of the past weeks or things leading into Week 11 and beyond. You name it. Kansas City Chiefs on SI is the place to get your Kansas City Chiefs news. As always, folks, be kind to one another. I'll see you tomorrow.